Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into an absolutely incredible case study on human resilience, sheer ingenuity, and overcoming massive barriers. Seriously, it's a story that proves, without a shadow of a doubt, you do not need perfect conditions to build something extraordinary. We're going to break down the creative blueprint left behind by a teenager who literally hacked his own future.
Okay, let's just start with this number, $80. I mean, for a lot of us, right, that's barely enough to cover a few months of streaming services, maybe a pair of sneakers. But for a young man named William Kamkwamba, $80 wasn't just pocket change. It was a massive, impenetrable brick wall. It was literally the exact amount of money standing between him and his entire future.
Which brings us to the $80 barrier, drought and despair in Malawi.
So William was growing up in an environment where resources weren't just kinda scarce, they were practically non-existent. A brutal drought had devastated the land his family lived on, and that meant mere survival. Just finding enough food and water to make it to the next day was this constant, grueling struggle for his family and the whole community. Because of that heartbreaking reality, they simply couldn't afford that $80 tuition fee. He was forced to drop out. Just imagine that. You're a bright, curious teenager, you're hungry to learn how the world works, and the doors to your future are completely slammed shut over $80. For most people, that would absolutely be the end of the academic road.
But William found himself at this really stark crossroads. Down one path, you've got formal schooling, right? Completely gated and blocked off by that tuition fee. But down the other path, the local library. And crucially, it was completely free. So since he didn't have the cash for the traditional route, he took all that ambition and forged a totally unconventional, self-driven path.
Let's look at a library and a vision and refusing to give up.
He could have easily just accepted his circumstances, right? Called it a day. But instead, he intentionally hacked his own future by taking two really focused steps. First off, he made the library his second home. He wasn't just hanging out killing time, he was actively searching for answers. And second, he didn't just casually read stories. No, he dove headfirst into an old physics textbook. Think about it, no teacher, no laboratory, just pure unadulterated curiosity and the pages of a borrowed book. He took these deliberate steps to acquire some seriously complex scientific knowledge, entirely on his own terms.
Which leads us to building from scrap using unlikely materials.
Okay, so this is where theoretical knowledge meets gritty, real-world practice. He didn't just walk into a pristine hardware store, and he definitely wasn't ordering custom-machined parts online. He went out and gathered discarded scrap metal, broken bicycle parts, and, this is amazing, pieces of local blue gum trees. He literally looked at a pile of trash and local plants and saw the exact precise components he needed to build an engineering marvel. It is just such a perfect picture of raw, brilliant resourcefulness.
And the outcome of piecing together all that scrap? Well, he brought electricity and water to his village. Using just those basic trash parts and the theories from that dusty old textbook, he successfully built a fully functioning windmill. This wasn't some cute science fair project, guys. This was a massive, life-altering breakthrough that delivered essential power and life-saving water to his entire community. He literally changed the ecosystem of his village.
And an achievement of that magnitude, it ripples outward. His incredible feat of survival and engineering was so profound that it was actually immortalized for the whole world to see in the best-selling book and the acclaimed film, The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind. He became this global symbol of innovation and just the immense power of human potential.
So, let's talk about your creative blueprint and applying the lesson.
Because the whole purpose of this explainer isn't just to marvel at some great story from the past, right? It's really a direct, actionable challenge to your present reality. So what is your daunting barrier? What is your personal $80? Maybe it's intense academic pressure. Maybe it's social anxiety, a severe lack of funding for a project you're working on, or even just imposter syndrome. I want you to isolate that seemingly insurmountable challenge or resource constraint that is standing in your way right at this very moment.
The blueprint for dismantling those exact barriers really boils down to three core traits. First up, curiosity. That's the habit of asking how and why instead of just accepting a closed door. Second is problem solving. The ability to look at discarded scrap metal and envision a working windmill. And third is self-belief. It's that quiet, unshakable conviction that you can teach yourself what you need to know, even if you have to do it completely alone in the corner of a local library.
It all centers on this one absolutely crucial truth. You don't need perfect resources to make a massive impact. You just don't.
You don't have to wait for the ideal budget, the perfect conditions, or flawless timing to start building your future. Waiting for perfection is a trap. Think about it. If William Kamkwamba had waited for perfect resources, his village would have remained in the dark and his immense potential would have remained completely untapped.
So take a look around at your own scrap metal. Your unique life experiences, the free resources available to you online or at your local library, your innate curiosity. You already have the tools you need. So, what will you build with yours?